Tonight I thought that I would just make a ramble video with no script or anything to try to describe why it is that I feel a little bit different than some of the other atheists in our online community about one particular topic, one particular point. And that is many times theists on the internet will appeal to a moderate majority of other theists and say things like, well, that's not how most Christians think. Most Christians are not creationist fucktards, and the fact that you're jumping on the extremist Christians is sort of a fallacy, because you're using those extremist Christians in order to describe all other Christians in this sort of straw man. It's like, for all the ponage of different beliefs that we do here on the internet, many people will say, well, you're cherry picking the extremists and passing them off as the moderate majority that actually exists in some people's minds. And what I have to say to that is, there are parts of theism in general that aren't even unique to Christianity, that I disagree with, that are pretty much uniformly spread throughout Christianity. One of which is the teaching of the false virtue of faith. But it's very hard to pin down each and every little denomination and say, okay, each one of them is guilty of teaching about faith, And every time I point out some absurdity which is rooted in the teaching of faith, but it is manifest in some silly tradition, I get told that I am pointing out an extreme group, and I'm not really addressing the larger issue. Even though I happen to be someone who has a series with more than 150 episodes right now, where I show signs from just about every denomination of Christianity that I've encountered, where I can show people that there are horrible beliefs out there that are so widespread that this idea of the moderate majority is getting less and less, less and less provable to me, because I have not seen this moderate majority that has, freedom from all these different things that I'm actually talking about. The doctrine of faith being a virtue that is greater than having evidence is completely retarded to me. Seriously. And when I show examples of this, real world examples of people making mistakes in their lives which are detrimental to them because they believe this, I can't just pull up my Bible right here and say, well, they're going by this Bible, and all other churches that use the Bible therefore are like this church. That would be a straw man. And that would be cherry picking. But after examining every different denomination, or at least a great cross-section of them across America, and showing each one to have this problem of taking faith to be more valuable than reason and evidence. I think that I've already shown that this is not a straw man on my part. I'm not showing extremists and passing them off as the majority. I have taken a vast cross-section of the majority and all their different denominations and shown each one to have something wrong with them because of faith. Now, I've started out with that thought in this ramble because I wanted to get to something that happened today. I was in the shower, and when I got out, my brother came up to me and said, while you were in the shower, someone knocked on the door, and it was for you. And they left this for you. And what they left was this: Awake, which is a side production of The Watchtower from Jehovah's Witnesses. This is the May 2011 edition. And I know that by criticizing Jehovah's Witnesses, someone is going to tell me, well, they're just a fringe extreme group. You can't really take what they're doing and say that it has any relevance towards the moderate majority that's out there. So what I have to say about that is Jehovah's Witnesses number around 7.5 million members, and they are 0.7% of the United States. Not really reflective of any sort of majority with those numbers, but what I'm getting at here is that's almost 1% down. You know? And if I continue to show, different things from other different denominations, I'm sure I will get the same reaction each time I do it. People saying, well, that's not reflective of the majority. But in examining the tracts and pamphlets from each of these denominations and getting that reaction, what I feel like is it's a variant of the no true Scotsman fallacy in order to try to remove blame of everyone for all their differences and that are pretty much rooted in the belief in faith being better than evidence. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, I've pointed out what percentage of the population in America actually believes this. Also, I can point out some other things about this, which make it a little bit harder for people to say, well, that they're just extremists. They don't really reflect on the larger group. Right here, there's information about this journal, and let's see. Right here, we have how many different languages this journal or this tract is published in. That's how widely read this thing is. Let's see. I'm not going to be editing this video. Somewhere in here, it does state that the publication of this actually, this run was 38 million copies. Million copies. Which is, you know, compare that to the population of, say, Canada. It's printed in Canada. Yeah. Pretty much one for everyone in Canada. Now, if we read this together, the front says, "Human life, a precious gift." I'm just going to skim through this. I've already read it. When people laugh at creationists and they say, well, that's like less than 1/10 of 1% of Christians, those aren't part of the moderate majority. Well, articles like this, which are official publications of a group which pretty much is, let's see, looking at the Pew statistics on religion right here. Let's see, major religious traditions in the U.S. We've got Jehovah's Witnesses, 0.7% of the religious people in America are Jehovah's Witnesses. So, that just got a little bit larger. These creationists, the group that we can point to that have creationist leanings. You know, and a lot of people, they don't even realize that they're creationists when they are. You know, they use the same words and doctrines, you know, but they just haven't gotten labeled creationist enough to realize that that's exactly what they are. Right here it says, "I shall laud you because in a fear-inspiring way I am wonderfully made." Yeah, creationist talk here. And it's talking about the human body and all the wonders within it, and it's so wonderful that it must have been created. And you need to appreciate your special gifts. One of which being the human hand. The saddle joint in it is something that could never possibly have come without design. Thank God for your opposable thumbs. Yeah. The human ear, you know, is lauded in this as being a testament to God's great design. In fact, the last sentence here, "Such exposure can permanently damage the hearing, so take good care of this wonderfully made gift from your Creator." Psalm 139, verse 14. So yeah, this is creationist. You know, this is not 1/10 of 1%. This is 0.7%. This is almost a whole percent, a whole 1% of America, right here. Now, should I go to other denominations and their paperwork, I can find the same thing. But right now we're concentrating on this 0.5% of people. Here is the old human eye argument about intelligent design. And here I'll read this paragraph right here. It says, "Engineers often design camera scanners and computers along with compatible software, but the degree of integration and the level of sophistication attained are vastly inferior to those of our sensory system. Ask yourself, is it reasonable to attribute our vastly superior living sensory system to blind chance, as evolutionists do? Where have we heard that before? Oh, I remember. Creationist fucktards." Also, there's an argument that the human brain is too advanced to have been just come about by evolution. You know, survival of the fittest could not have created the brain. This little side thing right here says, how does your brain feel, hear, see, and smell? Scientists are baffled. There is no hint in your brain as to how you see the words you are now reading, said scientist Gerald L. Schroeder, who has no other real credits to his name in this entire work. I have no idea what makes him a scientist. But apparently what makes him a scientist is not understanding Darwin. I continue. He also wrote, revelation of the previously unimagined intricate workings of the brain has challenged the simplistic theory of life's own random evolution. He continued, had Darwin known of the wisdom hidden within life, I have confidence that he would have proposed a very different theory. Actually, I wonder if you have even read Darwin's theory, or if anyone reading this really has read it. Anyways, that's the end of the creationism article. Here's another article. It starts, inner gifts that elevate us. Right? This article is actually written to bring more people into the religion. But I'm going to start with this really funny paragraph right here. It says, during the Nazi era, Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe refused to say Hail Hitler because the German word Hail means salvation. Their deeply held belief that Jesus Christ was their Savior and that there is no salvation in anyone else Anyways, basically, the reason why they rejected Hitler was not because Hitler was evil. You know, you could replace the word Hitler here with, say, Gandhi or Mother Teresa. They will not follow anyone because they only follow Jesus, you know. It says nothing here about Hitler being evil, you know. It just says, well, we don't follow anyone but Jesus. So, then there's a list of bullet points here that are questions that non-believers might have, like, why do we have a conscience, an inner sense of right and wrong? Why do we feel awe when we reflect on the wonders of creation? Why do we enjoy music? All of these, just being human traits, they are being co-opted by this tract in order to twist things into you thinking that God is the reason behind all of this. No, this is just the human condition described in a whole bunch of fucking bullet points, which is pretty much the hallmark, the fucking hallmark of con artists. Okay? Playing on human nature, our need to be loved and love, spiritual needs. Anyone remember the you have a hole in your heart that can't be filled by drugs or sex or other people or friendships or the internet or any other addiction? The only thing that can fill that hole is God. Anyone ever heard that before? Yeah. Most often spouted by con artists. Then we have here, why we die. Well, the reason why we die doesn't really have to do with any biological processes. No, the reason why we die is because the wages of sin is death. Another reason why I am very angry at the teachings of many different Christian denominations. Now, this is not just this denomination, not just Jehovah's Witnesses that say these things. Okay? This is just me catching the Jehovah's Witnesses saying these things in printed form so that I can prove it. Okay? Not having the proof on hand, many Christians will say, well, that's just their fringe extremist beliefs. No. Believing that we die because we have this magical wrongness called sin that is killing us, rather than believing in biological processes, that is a tenet of Christianity that is widespread throughout whatever you want to call this moderate majority, and it needs to be addressed. Okay? Now, actually, when I came across this article, save for the little Bible verse twist at the end, this article on honey ants was pretty fascinating. And I didn't really see anything very objectionable in most of the article, except for, of course, the end, where they put the religious bent on it. But good for them in putting something really weird and strange to jump out at us. You know, of course, they're going to say that, you know, all these wonderful things across the earth couldn't have anything to do with, you know, micro and macro evolution, you know, all these differences. These honey ants being in Australia, this is a Aborigine holding one, you know. You don't find honey ants on other continents because, you know, they got to evolve on their own separate continent apart from, you know, everyone else. That's why we don't have kangaroos in North America. That's why we don't have platypi all over the place, you know. Things that need to be addressed by all Christians, not just by Jehovah's Witnesses. This one is particularly disturbing to me, this article, and I'll tell you why. Not for the individual accounts. This article is called "When a Child Has Cancer," and it has different parents' experiences, and they were asked different questions. And when you read each one, there doesn't seem that much wrong with it, except for it being, you know, tear-jerking, and of course, a great emotional prompt. But when you zoom out from the whole thing and take it all as a whole, you can see that each one of these people that was asked about what their child went through with child cancer, they were asked questions about the treatment to ask about what was bad about the treatment. All these people were asked questions like, what side effects did she experience? Well, she vomited and lost a lot of hair, and all this bad stuff. The enamel on her teeth darkened. She developed pneumonia 3 times. How did that make you feel? What helped you deal with this traumatic situation? You know, lots of this stuff. Now, when you take into account how every one of these people was basically just asked what was the bad part of this experience, it was things that were side effects from treatment by a medical doctor, right? Here's a verse on the side that I don't like. Don't worry about tomorrow. It will take care of itself. You have enough to worry about today. Yeah, that's going to comfort people with cancer. Mm-hmm. Idiots. So, here's some more testaments of people who had bad experiences with treatment in cancer. And look at this little window right here. A loving arrangement. Hospital liaison committees for Jehovah's Witnesses seek to promote hospital and patient cooperation. To that end, they help witness patients Find competent doctors who respect their desire to heed the biblical injunction. Abstain from, ellipses, blood. So, basically, there's a group of people at the hospital that make sure that if a Jehovah's Witness gets admitted to the hospital, that Jehovah's Witness will be reminded, don't let this doctor do everything he can do. You need to tie his hands because you belong to our church and we have this really archaic belief about blood. And we can't have him handling your blood. The blood is sacred, so, yeah. Basically, there are groups at hospitals that help keep people in line with the barbaric practices of not letting their own parishioners receive medical treatment because of their interpretation of the Bible. Now, this is, again, something that is not just found in this group. But people will tell me, oh, that's just a fringe group. That 0.7% of all the religious people in America. That 7.5 million people that say that they are Jehovah's Witnesses. And the 38 million people that are going to get this tract put on their doorstep are going to see this message. Okay? And yeah, that could be something that affects less than 1% of the world. Wait till I get to the other denominations, and when we add them all up, you will be able to see the sum of how this shit gets spread in a way that you cannot say that it is extreme and fringe and not part of the moderate majority. This is widespread ignorance. Okay, so, next article. The Seventh World Power. Basically, this is great. This work is kind of like the Da Vinci Code, and it says that there were 7 world powers predicted in the Bible, and if you look at this timeline, we've got Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, and this last one, the 7th seal, because of course we are in the end times. We are probably going to see the end of the world in our lifetimes, because every group, no matter that 2,000 years of people have gone by without seeing the rapture, and all those people have died without seeing it, we have to believe that we are the ones who are going to see it. Yeah. It's how the con keeps getting spread. But this is strange here. Because of, if you considered Britain, the British Empire, and then the strength of the United States as being the last remaining superpower in our time, if you can consider those two different things, then there are 7 world powers. The 7th world power is the last one. Their 7 world powers theory kind of falls apart if they don't, group a whole bunch of different, very different things together. So the British Empire and the United States being a superpower today is counted as one thing. Don't know why, but it is for them. Now, when people would say about Harold Camping recently that, his prophecy of May 21st being the end, the rapture, and October 21st being the end of the world, when they said that his group was just fringe and not, not having any influence over any great number of people, well, this group, the Jehovah's Witnesses, actually had an end times prophecy that was similar, that happened in 1975. A lot of people don't know this, but they as well have their own end times prophecies. In fact, this part of the article right here says, recognize the sign. The sign of the end includes global war, earthquakes, pestilences, major food shortages. And there's also going to be serious moral and spiritual breakdown in society. So, that in mind, let me just adjust my camera real quick. So I'm thinking, maybe I can have my own set of predictions that will rival theirs, in order to stir up people's fear. Because basically this is a list of things that you have seen in the past, and they are pretty much persistent in the world. There will always be pestilence, disease, great earthquakes, major food shortages, global war. These things have happened throughout our history on this planet. So I've got an idea. How about for my end of the world's prediction, I'm going to say there's going to be hurricanes and tornadoes and floods, and I'm going to go with people breathing. There's going to be a whole bunch of people breathing near the end time. So if you see anyone breathing, then that's a sign. And really well written television shows that I like are going to be canceled after only having one season, and shows that are pretty much intellectual drivel and shows that pander to children who are 12 years old and under, those shows are going to succeed past 5 seasons. That is my prediction for the end times. Oh, and there will be a lot of moral decay in society when pop stars who put out albums that sell, like, say, over 1 million copies, when those pop stars start having personal situations in their lives that are completely immoral, that is a sign of the end times. And and towards the end, it won't matter if you have like the most pure, virgin, moral girl that you make into a pop star singer. She will become the most impure, whorish symbol of decadence. And there will be no stopping it. That's my end times prediction. That's my reaction to this Awake pamphlet. Next in it, there's a whole bunch of promises from God. There's going to be genuine peace, abundance of food, perfect health for everyone. All forms of suffering will end. Everyone will have a comfortable home. God is a great politician. This is like right off the Republican and Democrat platforms, Let's see. Next article, I actually don't have a problem with the larger message. It says, "Are your lips precious vessels?" Now, there is one part where it says, sadly, people misuse their lips by saying things about God that are untrue. For example, some blame him for the injustice and suffering in the world, much of which is mankind's own doing. And 2 seconds of thought. 2 seconds of thought by me. And I have the retort. Didn't God put man there? Is he not responsible for putting men there to do the bad? If it wasn't God who made these evil people that do the evil things, then did not God create Satan, which then inspires the men to do the evil? How many degrees of separation do we have between us and God in this whole evil paradigm? I don't know. But I do know that pretty much at the end of any scenario where I tell you all these different degrees of separation, it always ends in they believe that God created everything. But apparently God doesn't get any blame. He just gets all the accolades. But the rest of this article is actually good. It's about don't backbite people, don't gossip, you know. Ugh. Hey, Aldous.
Yes.
What's up?
I have an idea for a video for you.
You have an idea for a video for me?
I do.
Let me have it.
Alright, I'm going to give you the title alone, and I'm going to see if you can figure out where I'm going with this.
Okay, give me the title.
Alright. Shayra's Coloring Book of the Bible.
Shayra's Coloring Book of the Bible. Got it.
Yeah.
I think I can take the ball and run with that one. I'm in the middle of something right now, if you don't mind. Yeah. I did, however, herald your return to YouTube with that picture text.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did you get the picture I sent you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It went out to probably 10 people, but you got to figure that they, in turn, sent out the same picture to a whole bunch of other people, and it's probably spreading.
Ah, Jesus. Alright. But, yeah. That's what I came up with.
All right, I will. I'll work on it. I'll think about that one.
Fantastic. Alright, so go ahead and get back to what you were doing.
Okay.
Later.
Later. Phone blowing up right in the middle of my video. Yeah. Let's see. The next article in this magazine is entitled, "Why Are Jesus' True Followers Hated?" Now, which other group of people do I know that think that they are the true followers of Jesus? Well, there's a lot, but the one that I'm going to talk about right now is the Westboro Baptist Church. Many people say, oh, they're extreme in that view that they are the only ones that are the true followers, you know? That you can't say that all these moderate Christians, the moderate majority, believe things like that. Well, I can say that 0.7% of religious people in America do believe that, which is at least 0.5%, and that's just with their publication. When I get to the other publications, I think we're all going to see the same trend. It's just we have to look at each one individually in order to show people that, yeah, the majority of people in churches in America do have some sort of feeling that they are truly following Jesus in the way that he intended, and that other people are not. So, as for the reasons why Jesus' true followers are hated. First one, opposers may act in ignorance. And I'm going to agree with this one. Many times, if you hate someone, it's because you don't understand them. Reason number 2, some opposers are envious. There's when I think about this argument that they just have envy because they know that we're the true followers. It reminds me of hopscotch on a elementary school playground. Like, you're just jealous because I have better shoes than you. Reason number 3. They're being hated for being no part of the world. And I can boil this argument down in saying that Jehovah's Witnesses, when they do things like not celebrate birthdays or Christmas, or not do other things like drink caffeine, wonderful caffeine. When they do these things, they're not participating in the same reindeer games as everyone else. So basically, because they set themselves apart from the rest of society, the rest of society sees them as different. And I'm going to say, yes, absolutely true. Because they have removed themselves by being vocal in many instances, like by saying, no, I cannot have that Coke. No, I cannot go to that birthday party, even though it's at Magic Mountain, Sorry, those were examples from my life. Yeah, if you separate yourself by saying, I'm better than you because I'm following God's word better than you, then yeah, people are not going to want to include you. The more that you disassociate yourself from them, the more they're going to exclude you. So, right on. Now, the bent that they give it is that they are actually being more righteous for excluding themselves, but they have to realize that it's their fault. So next is an article about slavery, entitled "A Walk Along the Slave Route." And I did find this interesting, just like the honey ant article. A lot of things that I had not studied, so I found it informative. But I take everything in tracks like this with a grain of salt. And if I'm actually going to take this as fact, I'm going to research it somewhere else. The one part of this that it took me right out of the story of slavery that they're talking about, the capture of Africans and exporting them to America. The part that really just knocked me out of this experience of trying to read this story was when they talk about the African diaspora, which, if you don't know what diaspora means, it means more than just the Jewish culture spread across the earth. It can mean any different culture. So they talk about the African diaspora, and it talks about the spread of voodoo, a form of religion involving magic and spells that is especially popular in Haiti. And reading this little paragraph about Haiti in the middle of this giant article on slavery, I'm just thinking to myself, who else in the world do I remember that had to make a big deal about voodoo in Haiti? Oh yeah, that was Pat Robertson when the you know, Haiti had the earthquake, and he wanted to blame the earthquake on Haitians having made a pact with the devil, and yeah, and what did people say about Pat Robertson at that point? They said that, oh, he's just a loony. He's no one really believes what he says. He's getting on in age, and sometimes he's going to mess up some ideas. Yeah, he's extreme. He's always been extreme. No one really believes that. Well, 0.7% of religious people in America believe this. This tract, Awake, from the Watchtower group, actually gets approved by the council in Brooklyn, where these Jehovah's Witnesses are actually headquartered. They're not headquartered anywhere in the Bible Belt, like some rural backwoods city that you'd normally see ascribed to these extreme thinkers. Those are just the backwoods people. No, these people are headquartered in Brooklyn, and they have a council that approves all of their materials that they read. Examine the Jehovah's Witnesses for yourself to see what I'm saying about this. This is their approved literature. This is what they are told to believe. And 7.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses around the world in all these different languages that this is printed in, this is what they believe. So, next article is about sea turtles. And it says, the start of the article. Was it designed? Jehovah's Witnesses believing in intelligent design. The last sentences of the article. What do you think? Did the navigating ability of the sea turtle come about by chance, or was it designed? Now, that's twice I've showed you in the same tract where the theory of evolution is actually strawmanned to just mere chance. Everything is chance, which is not the theory of evolution. And when Christians, or certain groups of Christians, are shown to not understand the theory of evolution, many times people will defend them by saying, well, they don't represent the whole group, the moderates. Most moderates would understand that is not what the theory of evolution is. No. This is not fringe thought. This is 0.7% of the religious people in America. I should just put the Pew Research statistics on major religious traditions for the U.S. in the description box. I'll cite something, because they don't like citing anything but the Bible, but I'm going to at least cite something of where I'm getting my numbers, And as for the 38 million copies of this that just comes from this. I don't actually know that. I have not looked into their claim as to how many copies they printed. I'm just going to take their word for it that they printed 38 million copies, and yeah. So, isn't that a pretty sea turtle? Yay. Was it designed? What a sloppy design that looks like. That is a mess. Why would God design something to leave behind such a mess. I mean, these turtles get hatched and then they're covered in dirty sand. I mean, anyways. Next part is actually a very good article. Just about self-worth and self-esteem and failure, and whether or not you should feel like a failure. And outside of the biblical references in this article, it's still on. It's a good article. If you were to just take the gist of what they're saying and just throw in any sort of tradition. But even with the biblical verses that they're citing, I actually don't see anything harmful about this particular article. It's all about propping up your self-esteem and learning from mistakes. Yeah. So, So this is the Watching the World page in the tract. I think this is a probably a repeating thing that they have in a lot of the issues of this tract. So, first part is a story about importing Asian brides because economically liberated local women get picky. But poor women in other countries, they might be more likely to marry because even working class men offer hope of a better life. Yay! With no editorialism at all, this kind of actually looks like an endorsement of importing Asian brides, actually. But okay. As is, I'll just take that as just a new snippet. Perfecting infidelity. This is about a online dating site that says, life is short. Have an affair. Awesome. This news article says that humans have a unique ability to coordinate their motor movements to an external auditory stimulus. Basically, we have a natural ability to dance. Yay, even babies know how to dance. Now this news article says women living in poor countries are 300 times more likely to die during pregnancy or childbirth than if they lived in rich countries. Awesome news snippet right there. Yay, thanks for looking out for us and spreading the word. I'm getting to something here, guys. Hold on. This one says it's a pretty much a tragedy that German kids don't know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and 60% do not know that the full moon happens just about every month. Every 4 weeks. So, I read all these news articles to show what was in them so I could get to this one, okay? Archaeologists have found a Philistine temple in ancient Gath. The structure, anchored on 2 central columns, is reminiscent of the biblical account of Samson, who braced himself against such pillars, causing the temple to collapse. Now, again, people, when a discredited archaeologist says that he finds a boat on top of a mountain and that is proof of Noah's Ark, people will say, "Oh, that's fringe people. Those are stupid creationists," But here we have a story about ruins of a giant building that is now, being credited to being the place where Samson had his little temple destroying event in the Bible because he had strength because he didn't cut his hair. Oh no, God gave him back his strength because he lost his strength because a woman cut his hair. Because magically, if you have your hair cut when God tells you not to cut your hair, you will lose all your strength. But you know what this actually reminds me of? Popeye and spinach. So, the last page of this is actually just for kids. There's a connect the dots thing, you know, and it says, what's missing from this picture? It's obviously a cow and a sheep. Yeah, there's a Bible quiz and little pieces of pictures that kids are supposed to look through the rest of the issue and see if they can match that part of the picture to that other picture that was in the rest of the tract. And the back. The back is an article that says, "Will humans ruin this earth?" And, well, this was a great opportunity to tell people that they've been horrible stewards for our environment, and that we litter too much and we cause too much pollution, you know. But they kind of screw the pooch on this one because they throw in, the Bible also foretold that God, not any human, will fully correct matters. So have you ever wondered why it's the religious right in America that are, you know, drill baby drill, and they seem to have this notion that no matter what they do to the planet, God will provide. You know, God will make the planet magically clean itself. You know, this is where thoughts like that come from. Thoughts that the entire planet is actually here for human beings, you know, that we're supposed to subdue and have our own dominion over all the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air and everything else that we were given in Genesis. It's thoughts like that that make people polluters. And this is something that is not a fringe thought. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed that we have no evidence that God will magically pick up our trash for us. We need to face the fact that we need to stop polluting. But there are people whose political parties, you know, just so happen to coincide with the economic policies that would allow them to pollute more, you know, and this is not fringe. This is not fringe. This is widespread stupidity. And anyone who says that the group of religious people that they are a part of is completely removed from these other bits of idiocy pretty much now runs the risk of me investigating their religious organization and showing them exactly what I'm talking about. And that's my ramble for today. I don't know how long I went. Sorry for the interruption from Aldous. Until we ramble again.